You need a podcast just on like setting people up. You know what I mean?
Oh my
You
gosh,
need a love and romance podcast where people call in. We should have had it. Where somebody called in and was like, "So Kennedy,
this is the situation.
here I am.
I'm like,
He
girl,
hasn't
kick him
called
to
me
the
back.
curb.
Why didn't we think you have to come back and we're going to do that?" Like, and somebody from Texas wants to know.
Yes,
Here's
yes.
your question.
Susie from Texas.
Yeah, exactly. Best-selling author Kennedy Ryan started writing romances to have something in her life that was all her own. At 39, she was busy as a mom and a wife while running a foundation for families with children with autism. In a world of had-tos, writing was a want-to. But eventually, that led to a book deal in 2013 and now a thriving career. While her love stories are undoubtedly romantic, she says her books aren't written to be an escape from life, but rather a portal into life. She seamlessly weaves serious issues in with romance. Her latest, Score, features a character battling mental illness. Characters in other books grapple with chronic illnesses, caretaking, divorce, child loss, and much more. Join us for a chat about the life-ranging role romance has played in Kennedy Ryan's life and in her readers. I am so excited to be sitting here with Kennedy Ryan, one of my favorites. We got to hang out maybe 6 months ago, 7 months ago.
Yes.
And I remember listening to you talk and I was like, God, you could be like a preacher. You took us all to church.
And then I told you that my parents were preachers.
Exactly. And then you said, well, that's because.
I guess I've been influenced.
Talk about that. I mean, now you're one of the most successful writers, romance writers. You do something that I think is really smart, which is you meld kind of genres together and you create these think pieces that are also based in romance.
Yeah.
But when you were young, you were the daughter of preachers.
Yes.
And I've heard from you, but also read that your mother wasn't really into you reading romance.
Really, no. I mean, I started reading, I always tell people that I thought I started reading romance young because I started reading in the 8th grade.
Yeah.
And then I'm really good friends with Tia Williams.
Yeah.
And she was like, girl, I started at 6. I was like, okay, I'm good, you know. But I started in the 8th grade and my mom was just not having it. She was like, you're too young to be reading these racy romance novels. And of course, like a good little daughter, I just started smuggling them in. I started like stuffing them under the mattress and in the closet and under my bed and hiding them from her because I loved it. You know, it was like an escape. And I read all these other books too.
Yeah.
But for me, it was just like, this was kind of like this whole other world that I didn't have access to. And I did not tell her about this until I was in my 30s.
You finally came clean.
I finally came clean. I had about 300 novels tucked at the back of my closet behind my clothes. Okay, so when I went to college, I had to do a huge purge.
What you do? You had to take them out in bags,
I
hide
took
them.
them to our library.
Yeah.
I took them to under the cover of darkness. I
Yes.
would like drive at night and like stick them in the little, you know, the little depository thing.
Yes.
I did a couple of runs like that, and my mom did not know until I was in my 30s. But
It is.
what is interesting is how I think that whole experience has shaped what I do now.
Yeah.
Like I still have elements of faith in some of my romance novels.
Yes.
And people are like, I'm always surprised when I'm reading this, you know, what they consider like a spicy romance novel, and then all of a sudden you're talking about faith.
Yeah.
How do you reconcile those two things? And I'm like, there's nothing to reconcile.
Yeah.
You know, people have these ideas about pleasure,
Yes.
about there's a lot of shame around sex and around pleasure. And I understand that because I grew up in religious spaces. And so I have my own faith, you know, but I think that I call it an heirloom faith, you know, when it's just kind of passed down from person to person and you never interrogate it. And I think for me, there's a lot that for most of us, I think that you unlearn and deconstruct and then rebuild into a faith that's yours.
So have you done that?
Yeah, I definitely
At this
have.
point in your life, you've
Yeah.
created your own.
Yeah, I mean, I know what my faith looks like, and I feel so confident about it, and I feel such a purity around the purpose that I have around writing because I feel like my writing is very much grounded in purpose, and I talk about it all the time that I believe I was put on this earth to write stories that will crater in people's hearts, leave an impression, and create even moments of transformation. That's what I believe, and for me, that is a sense of of purpose. It feels like a higher calling.
Hmm.
And so for me, I think of writing in terms of calling. And so for me, like my faith feels like an extension of what I was put here to do. And I don't mind it being in my romance novels because I'm very secure in that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's something so wonderful about talking to somebody who's found their purpose,
Hmm.
like is really grounded in
Yeah.
what they feel they have been brought here
Yeah.
to do.
Yeah.
And even more special because you didn't really find it until your middle career.
Yeah,
So you were in
yeah.
your late 30s,
Yeah,
which I think gives women
I
hope.
hope so. I signed my first book deal when I was 40 years old. And my background is
Yeah.
journalism. And I never thought that I was going to be writing romance novels. I never thought I was going to be writing novels. I used to do a lot, and I still do a lot of advocacy work with autism. My son
Yes.
is on the spectrum.
Yes.
I ran a foundation for 11 years,
And
for
that
families.
probably felt like your purpose while you were living it.
Yes. Well, and I feel like I don't feel like I have one
Yeah.
purpose. You know what I mean? I
Yeah.
feel like I was made to do these things. And one of them is to advocate for families who have children, adults, young adults on the spectrum. So for that season of my life, that was very central. And I was doing that. And I was like, if I write a book, it's probably going to be like my family's story. And it's going to
Yeah.
be a mother's story. Or it's
Yeah.
going to be about our journey and about neurodivergence. Like that's what I thought writing a book was going to be for me. And then I remembered romance because I had stopped reading romance. I was reading everything around advocacy and special needs parenting. And when you're in college, you start reading the important books, And I had strayed from reading romance. And I needed something for myself, like in my 30s, when everything was really intense. Like my son is high needs. So there was a lot that was required of me as a mother. And there was a lot that was required for me as an advocate running this foundation for other families. And then there was just a lot required of me. I was also working,
Yeah.
so I was like, this is a lot. And it felt like a pressure cooker. And I
Yes.
needed something that was just kind of a release for me. And that's when I remembered how much I loved romance novels when I was younger.
Your books are, I mean, one of the things that I think is so admirable about your work is that it's grounded in romance, but it's also grounded in real issues
Yeah.
that people have to talk about, people
Yeah.
have to live with, mental health, divorce, health issues. I mean,
Yeah.
everything. And I think I always love books like that because it's like candy on the outside,
Yes.
propulsive. You want to stay up late reading and you
Yes.
read for the romance, but you stay
Yeah.
for the discussion
Yes.
and for the company around these big topics. Is that sort of who you are at the core? And
Yeah.
when did you get to that place in your
Yeah.
writing career?
Yeah, I think that, like I talked about when I first started writing, it all felt like there were whatever was going on in the industry and what people's expectations were and what was selling. I was like, okay, so that's what I write.
Yeah.
And I can't remember which personality test it is. It's one of them that I'm going blank on right now, but I am very high belief, which is unusual. It's like high belief. And belief has to do with like it needing to feel like there's
A higher
significance.
purpose. Yeah.
Yes, you need that.
Yeah.
And for me, that was an aspect of who I am, which is why when my son was diagnosed, I started the foundation. Like I need to feel like I love a cause.
Yeah.
I love a cause and I love to feel like somehow I'm a part of solution.
Yes.
And so when I first got into this, I didn't really have that. And it's not that early books were not good. It's just that there was something that was hollow in here because it wasn't connected to purpose.
Like it
for
wasn't
me.
as soulful as
Right.
it probably as your work is now.
Yes. And I would say around Long Shot, which is a
Yeah.
book that I wrote where it's a survivor story. It's a survivor of intimate partner violence who heals and then finds love. And the crazy thing, the way it happened was I'd seen something in the news. And a lot of times the things that I write about come from what's going on in the real world. There's a real relationship between that. It's rare for me just to be like, oh, I woke up with this love story on my heart. That's not how I write.
Like there's research that goes into what you do.
Oh gosh, yes.
Yeah.
So when I was like, I'm going to write a love story about a survivor. And when I went to write the story, I found myself judging that heroine. the way I saw
Yeah.
survivors judged in culture.
Yeah.
And I was like, how am I going to write this story about her when the same judgments I hear in culture for these women I have for this character? So I closed the laptop and I spent the next year interviewing survivors and shelter workers and psychiatrists and therapists and the children of survivors. I spent maybe the next year just interviewing. And then asking, what do I read? What do I listen to? Where's the research? And I did that for that book. And that has become, and then I used sensitivity readers. Like once the book was done,
Hmm.
finding people who were living those experiences, that was their lived experience, or they were adjacent to it, and saying, okay, I've written this book. Can you now read it to protect its representation, to make sure it's not harmful or offensive or outdated or whatever? And that has become the blueprint for every book I've written since. And I have that sense of purpose and intention in everything now. And that was the first book where I was like, oh, this feels right. Yeah, this feels like this is how I reach story. And I always talk about how I start with discourse,
Hmm.
which is what is the conversation I want to
Yes.
have with readers?
Yes.
And then I embed that in a love story. I call it my Trojan horse romance.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
I'm
Which is like,
smuggling
that's
in.
why I'm saying like the candy, you
Yes,
know?
yes,
It's
it's the
like the
candy.
candy on the outside, but the
Yes,
meat
yes,
and the
yes.
inside is
Yeah.
really what, is so important. I also just am thinking as you're saying this and the extent you go into research, it's like you're coming at it as a journalist.
Oh, for sure. Yeah, for sure. I mean, the first thing I do, I haven't written a word. I pull together like my list of subjects
Yeah.
who I'm going to interview. And then I interview by Zoom for probably like the book that's coming out or is out now, Score, probably 3 months of just like the
And
heroine
and
has
you and
bipolar disorder.
yeah, so you
Yeah.
wanted to make sure you got that
Oh
right.
gosh, yes, yes. And so probably a good 3 months of just interviews. And as I'm interviewing them, like I recorded on Zoom, I'm asking them, what are the books I should be reading? Are there medical journals? Are there podcasts?
Yeah.
And they give me that. And once I'm done with the interviews, the next step for me is read those books, listen to those podcasts, study those medical journals. All of that has to happen before I'm ready to write. And then once I write, as I'm interviewing them, some of them I really connect with, and I'll just say, when I'm done, would you be interested in being a sensitivity reader for
Yeah.
this? And they're like, yes,
Yeah.
and
And then you take their notes into
oh
consideration.
yeah. They're a very active part of it. I couldn't write the books that I'm writing if it wasn't for them, because I want to be very careful with people's lived experience.
What do you hear? I know you hear some really incredible things, both about love and healing, and kind of surprising things, because I remember what you said to me 6 months ago from your readers.
Yeah.
But what do you hear too when it comes to sort of some of the bigger, deeper topics? Although love and healing are about
Oh
as big
yeah.
as they get, but across the
Yeah.
board,
Oh
what do your
gosh.
readers say?
I think that one of the hallmarks I feel, and it feels so like lofty, one of the hallmarks of my work, it's like one of the things that I think is really big in my work is
Yeah.
seenness. Is that and I talk about a lot about writing from the margins to the center, and that I really like to center women who are often relegated to the periphery of cultural
Yes.
narrative.
Yeah.
And so I write about women who have lupus. I write about women who are amputees, or, I write about women who have bipolar disorder, who
Yes.
are neurodivergent, who are plus size, who are dark skinned, who are whatever that thing is that has been relegated to the edges. I want to push it to the center. And because I do that, so what I hear all the time is, I haven't seen this before and it's me, or I never thought about this. It's so funny because Score, that's coming out now, obviously that heroine has bipolar disorder.
Yeah.
I have gotten so many, and it makes me emotional.
Yeah.
I've gotten so many messages from people who are like, when I read Score, because they've read early versions, when I read Score, I saw my own patterns of behavior, and I had just kind of tried to dismiss it. But after I read Score, I called my
Yeah.
insurance company and I was like, hey, I need to, and now I am on my way to getting a diagnosis, or
And getting the help that they
yes.
need.
And the other thing that's been really great is I've had several people who say, I had my best friend, I had one just yesterday. My best friend in college had bipolar disorder, and the time we didn't know. And our friendship was ruined, and I didn't know why until I read Score. And when I read Score, I understood what happened. And I reached out to her. We had not talked in years, and we had the most beautiful conversation because she was able to tell me about her journey and this has affected her relationships. Like for me, that is the most like that's the first measure of impact and the first measure of success is when you hear from people saying things like that. I mean, with lupus, Real had a heroine who had lupus. So many people who had
Yes.
lupus were like, I never thought I would read a
Yeah.
romance novel with a lupus heroine, and she has her lesions and her hair is
Yeah.
falling out, and she's still being loved
Yeah.
outrageously. And I think that is what I want people, that is the biggest thing I want people to walk away with is you are worthy of love and radical acceptance that you are not, there is someone you are not too much for.
Mm.
And when you find that person, he or she will love you outrageously and they will radically accept you. And even though culture has relegated you to the edges, to the periphery of cultural narrative, you deserve a happily ever after.
Mm.
You deserve joy. And that's what I hope people take from my work. And not in a way, people say to me sometimes, well, don't you think it's unrealistic? Like, don't you think it's like you're writing men who are unrealistic? And I'm like, honey, have you seen the stories
Yeah.
that are breaking about what some men are doing?
Yeah.
I would rather, instead of writing what culture is telling us is realistic for men, I would rather write a man you deserve. I would rather write a man who respects you and loves you and whom you can trust with your dreams and your ambition and your life, like sharing a life.
Yeah.
I would rather do that than write someone's idea of what is realistic and signal to women that they should settle for less.
Yes.
So that's my stance
I mean,
on
see, this is why
unrealistic
I'm like,
expectations.
we're at church, let's go. And I know that people have said to you, which is like, it's wild, but like, I'm leaving my husband, you know? Like, I read your book. I have read
had
your
a lot of
book.
breakups.
Right? I have read your
and I'm
books
like,
and I
"Don't break
realize
up."
I'm not getting, and that's not what your
Yes,
intention is, of
yes,
course.
yes.
But if your intention is to say to women,
Yeah.
you are enough just as you are,
Yes.
then some of them are not being treated that way.
Yes.
And then they're
it's-
reading your work and
my
they're like,
assistant said she read my last book, Just Can't Get Enough, and she said, I just want you to know that I just broke up with my boyfriend. I said, what? I didn't mean for you to do that. She goes, no, I just realized he wasn't treating me right. I was like, okay, and I'm not saying I want that to happen
No.
all over, but I am saying that I want women to realize there's something you deserve.
Yes.
And culture tells you the bar is way down here and that no one's going to clear it and you
Yeah.
have to settle.
Yeah.
And I'm like, raise the bar, babe.
yeah.
And part of why sometimes it's hard for single women like to raise that bar is because they tell us romantic love is it.
Yeah.
Like there's such an emphasis on romantic love in our culture that it's like it encourages women to like build your life around it, build your expectation. Honey, build your life.
Yes.
Build your life. Like figure out what you want to do. Figure out what your goals are. Figure out what your ambition is. Create a marvelous life for yourself.
Yes.
And when you find someone, invite him in or her in.
Yeah.
And he or she invites you in. But like you're not waiting for something.
Yes. Yes.
And I think that when we have that perspective, we settle, there's less that we will put up with.
Yes.
When I'm like, okay, you might be the one, but I got a great life. And I'm not
Yes.
going to lower my standards just to have a romantic relationship.
I also know that part of where you get the ideas for some of the men in your books or the inspiration comes from your father and your husband.
Yes, absolutely.
Which I love. Like, that's very truthful. You know, these
Yeah.
are real men in your life.
Yeah.
What does that
yeah.
say about the types of love you've had?
I think growing up with my father, I saw the way he treated my mom. And I saw respect and I saw the way he made me feel safe as a daughter, and he respected me. Like he respected my intelligence. He cultivated it. And he was a provider.
Mhm.
He worked really hard, but he carved out time for us. And I never had to wonder, does my dad love me? I never had to wonder, does my dad accept me?
Mhm.
And I think that definitely shaped a lot of how I thought about men. I didn't date a lot before I was married.
Mhm.
And some people be like, oh my gosh. But I didn't date a lot, not because I didn't have opportunity, but I just didn't want to waste my time. And I was like, it's not that I didn't date at all,
Yeah.
but there were a lot of guys who I was like,
No.
mm-mm, no, I know better than that. I'm like, my daddy, you know what I'm
Yeah.
saying?
Yeah.
And so my husband, who is, I call him my lifetime lover, we've been married for 29 years
Amazing.
and he is amazing. He's my best friend. He's my biggest cheerleader.
He's the one that said to go back
He is the
to the
one
book that
who
you,
took me back to the Skyline
yeah,
series.
which became your
Yeah,
real
the kind of
breakout.
breakout. Yeah, he was like, when I realized that I wanted to go back to traditional publishing after self-publishing, I was like, I don't know what I'm going to write. And he goes, what about that divorce book? And I said, oh, babe, that's trash. He's like, no, no, just pull it
Give it.
back out,
Yeah.
look at it. And there was a lot that I changed and redid, but I definitely have to give him credit, for that. And he is like, for women who have ambitions, have dreams, have goals that kind of have you soar, you need someone who is completely secure in their own space in life, and what is important to them and what they're doing and their goals. And especially with men, not feeling intimidated by a woman who knows what she wants and who goes after it.
Yeah.
And he is incredibly supportive of me and I'm incredibly supportive of him. There's a reciprocity that I think is sometimes missing from heteronormative spaces, from patriarchal culture, from, which is what shapes so much of our relationships in this country. That reciprocity, that mutual respect is not always there. And I feel really blessed to have found it,
I say that all the
mhm.
time to young people who are like, what are some things that helped you? And I'm like, well, I married somebody that was like, oh,
Yes.
you got a job in New York? I'll
Yeah.
leave my job in Baltimore. Let's
Yeah.
go.
Yeah.
Or when the pandemic broke out and we had 3 children, one of whom was 6 months old,
Hmm.
I had a television show
Yes.
and he was like, well, okay, this is my hour.
Yes.
I've
Yes.
got, you go do it. You've got this. I've got the kids. And then
Yes.
we'll reassess here. And it wasn't
Yes.
like, no, I don't change diapers. He was
Right.
all in.
Right.
Because if he
Exactly.
wasn't,
Yeah.
how could I have done this?
Yes. Yes. And
His,
exactly.
and hopefully I gave him that same.
Yes, yes. I talk about all the time because our sons, like I said, our
Yeah.
sons' needs are
Yes.
intense and have been intense since he
Yes.
was 2 years old.
Yes.
And so there were times when it was therapy and it was school and it was swim therapy, vision therapy,
Yeah.
it's all these things,
Yeah.
right? And I could not. Both of us could not be go, 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 go. One of us really needed to hone in on what he needed.
Mhm.
And there was a time when that was me.
Yeah.
Like I'm sitting by a river with
Yeah.
my son,
Yes.
and my husband's off working.
Yes.
And then there was a time when it was him,
It ebbs and
and he
flows.
was the one who was going to therapy and doing all of these things. And I'm like building this career. So I have been what he needed me to be, and he has been what I needed him to be. And I hope that cycle continues. You know what
Mhm.
I mean?
Mhm.
But there's something that's deep and abiding between us that has held us together
Mhm.
through some really hard times.
Yeah.
Really hard times. And people always ask me, like, why do you always make us cry in your books? And why do you I believe that love that's tested shines brightest. Like, that's what I believe.
Yeah.
And so, not like your whole life is going to be a test, but like there are these moments where you're like, okay, this is a snapshot of a hard time.
Mhm.
What does love look like in this? What does love look like when you have a tough diagnosis? What does love look like when you lose a parent? What does love look like in all of those situations? Just see it tested and see it shine. That's what my life with my husband has been.
Mhm.
And that is kind of what I tend to put on the page.
You brought up adaptation. We have to talk about it.
Okay. Yes.
You are writing
Yeah, I'm co-writing the
Co-writing?
pilot. Yeah, so my Skyland series has been optioned by Universal
for Peacock,
for,
right?
and it's being in development at Peacock. And they approached me about co-writing the pilot, which I mean, authors know, it's
It's a
you
different
don't
beast.
yes, it's a different beast,
Yeah.
and most authors don't have that level of proximity
Yes.
to their adaptation, where you're actually writing it and writing the pilot. And at first I was like, I was telling, they were like, what about if Kennedy wrote? I said, Kennedy who? Kennedy who's gonna write it? And then they pair Malcolm. We have an incredible team. It's Deborah Martin
Yeah.
Chase, who's an icon.
Yes.
It is Blackmailed, which is Malcolm D. Lee,
Yeah.
and then it's John Legend.
Yeah.
So we
Wow.
have this incredible team of producers, and Malcolm is one. I'm an executive producer. Malcolm is an executive producer, and they've paired us to co-write the pilot. And I would not have even entertained the idea of it if I wasn't paired with someone as veteran as Malcolm. And it has been such a great. I'm a very like writing can be very solitary.
Yeah.
And I wasn't sure how I would collaborate, and it has been a great experience. And I love that I'm involved because I know the story better than
Yes.
anybody. But at the
Yes.
same time, I have never adapted anything for television. So I need people around and, involved who know what it takes to translate something, especially a book like Before I Let Go, which is so
Yes.
interior.
Yes.
So it's a lot of what the characters are thinking and, what they're feeling.
Yeah.
And a lot of that they're not expressing. So it's kind of like, how do we translate these things they're feeling that are on the page but are interior to action?
Yes.
So it's a pleasure to do that. It is exciting and humbling, and it's a blessing.
Are there any casting dreams?
I do have casting dreams. I have casting dreams. But I'm almost scared to say them
You
because
put them in. You know what Oprah says.
put it in the
You gotta put it in the
universe. So there
universe.
are several, there are several heroes in the series. One of the actors I love is Aldous Hodge. So we announced my first look deal with Universal a couple of weeks ago, which is they get the first dibs at
Yeah.
any of my work. But as an extension of that is a producer's deal where I help them identify other authors' works, and we then option those and shepherd those to screen. And we are looking at all works, but I am very concerned with underrepresented communities.
Mhm.
And I don't want to be one of a few, I don't want to, it's like, oh, wow, there's, 3 or 4 or 5 Black authors who are doing really well that we are seeing. And I'm like, no, I want to
Yeah.
hold the door open. I want to reach down. I want to
And by
pull
the way,
up.
you do that so generously and effortlessly, but I know it takes effort when you come on our show and recommend
Mhm.
books.
Yeah.
It's the same for authors. You want to
Yes.
make sure that
Yes.
these authors are getting a
The
chance.
visibility.
Yeah,
Yeah.
spotlight.
Yeah. And so for me, it was never on my bingo card that
Mhm.
I would get to be a producer, that I would get to.
Like it wasn't even a dream.
No, I mean, I think most authors dream, wow, one day I want my book on
Yeah.
TV or film.
Yeah.
But I never took that next step where it's, wow, I want to find other authors' books and I want them to make it
And
to
that
screen.
actually probably is even more
Oh,
purpose filled.
It is so it's so funny because it's nothing that I can announce yet, but
Yeah.
we already have a few projects
Yes.
that we're optioning and that are in development, and I can't talk about them.
Yeah.
But when I called, I remember when an author I called just last week, like, oh my gosh, we just closed the deal. We're gonna, develop your book into a TV show. I was literally crying,
Yeah.
because I was like, I can't believe I get to be a part of this.
Yes.
You
Yes.
really see someone's dream just like opening up, and to be even a part of that is so fulfilling in a way that is very different than my own work being adapted. Of course, I'm so grateful for that, but there's just it's like a different feeling.
Yes.
And
Yeah.
I'm loving it. I hope we get to do it a lot more.
So to end, what do you think that the little girl in you who would, put on shows or put on stories with
Her
the
mom.
and would stay up late hiding books
Yeah.
behind her closet?
Yeah.
What do you think how could she even, like, the depths of all of the work you're doing?
Yeah.
Would she be able to believe all this?
Probably not, because I mean, I'm just a little country girl. I told you we didn't have a stoplight. So I don't think I ever thought about any of those things. But I think that there is something, though. It's so funny you asked that, because I was very audacious
Mhm.
as a child,
Mhm.
even. And there is this photo of
Mm.
me, and I'm doing like something, and my sister's like, "See, she was like, you're not gonna be able to tell that girl nothing." So she would probably be like, "I told you so." I mean, honestly, she'd probably be like, "Okay, I can
Yeah.
see that." There's something audacious, and I think it requires audacity. Like when you are going into spaces that weren't made for you, when you are going into spaces where room is not made for you, where people don't expect you to show up or show up in a big way, there has to be some level of audacity where you are like, maybe you put up roadblocks, maybe the system put up roadblocks.
Mhm.
For some reason, you didn't think I belonged here, but here I am. That requires a level of audacity, a level of I belong here that no one can give to you.
Mm.
You have to have it. You have to cultivate it. So when you show up, it's like, yeah, this is where I belong. Not because I'm better than anybody else, but because I'm just as good. Like we are all just as good, and we should all have opportunities. And that's what I think. That's what I think. She might not be able to articulate that, but I think that would be her attitude. Like, yeah, that's what should happen.
I feel like that's probably why you're trying to open all these
Yes.
other doors to like spread that
Yeah.
audacity to kind of
Yeah.
make sure that everybody feels like they belong.
Yeah. I hope so. I hope
Yeah.
so.
Oh my gosh, you're the best.
You're
I
the
didn't even
best,
get to
Jenna.
ask about your pen name. What?
What about it?
Why? I didn't even know you had one.
Yeah, I did. It's so funny because I was working when I got my first book deal. I was working, and there was an HR department, and you had to take anything that you were doing outside of the company to them.
Oh.
And I was like, "Oh, I have a book deal." And they were like, "That's great. You're going to have to write under a pseudonym. Like whatever you're writing can't be associated with us, so you have to write under pseudonym." And honestly,
So Kennedy was born?
yes, and
So does your husband call you Kennedy?
Oh, you know what? He has been practicing. Okay, so what I mean by that is, of course, at home he's not calling me Kennedy.
Yeah.
But he's like, "Oh my God, we're about to go on tour, and you're going to be Kennedy." So he's been calling me Kennedy all week. And I'm like, "Babe, it's not that serious."
So who does your mom? Your mom doesn't call you Kennedy.
No, my mom does not call me. Kennedy.
Is there a difference between the two? Like,
think
is it
so.
alter ego vibes? Is
it's
it
not
Lady
like,
Gaga?
It's not Sasha Fierce.
Yeah,
Beyonce
Sasha Fierce.
and Sasha
It's not
Fierce.
Beyonce
It's
and
definitely
Sasha
not that.
Fierce.
I'm the same all the time. But I think that the way I came up with the name Kennedy Ryan is that I had always wanted a daughter, and we had my son, and then a lot happened, and I ended up not having another child. But I had always wanted to name her
Oh.
Kennedy Ryan. And so when they told me you have to come up with a name, you can't write under your legal name, that was the name I chose. But I'm kind of glad. Like I like a little bit of distance.
Space.
I like a little distance. I like I share my mental health. I'm very
Yeah.
open about everything.
Yes.
But there's parts of my life I like to kind of cordon off. And I kind of like being able to retreat into
And the people that know you well can
Oh.
call you your real name.
Yeah, and they're not thinking about
Yeah.
any,
They're not calling you Kennedy.
No,
They're not
no.
worried about your book tour, your
No.
adapting.
They're like, "Can you get the potatoes?" And I'm like, "Okay,"
And then when you come for things like this,
Yeah, I mean, my mom is thrilled. She's like, "My baby's gonna be on Good Morning America. My baby's gonna, whatever." So that's fun. It's fun, and it feels so full circle because the very genre that my mom told me, "Don't read that.
Yes.
You don't get to read that."
Yes.
That is the genre that put me in the spaces that have made her so proud.
does she read your work?
No. No. And I do not need her to. She buys all of my books.
And
If
puts
you-
them proudly.
and yes, if you go into her living room, all the books are there. The first time she read my book, she was like, "Why they gotta cuss?" I was like, "Ma, just don't."
Yeah, you're like, stop at page
just
13.
stop.
Yeah.
Just stop.
Yeah.
We don't need.
You
we
don't
need
think
you to
she's
do that.
secretly done what you used to do, which is like flashlight books?
She does read. My mom. That's where I got my appetite for reading. My
Yeah,
mom is a
loves to read.
voracious reader.
But you don't think she secretly read your books behind
No, I
your
don't.
back?
I don't. And I really don't. I don't need her to.
No,
Like,
I get that.
but I have an aunt who is a teacher, and she was a huge influence on me. And she's like, "Y'all got to be proud of her because she's the book lady.
Yes.
In our whole
Yes.
she was a teacher teacher, and she really, when I was younger, every summer would like put books in front of me
Yeah.
that I hadn't read. Like this is Toni Morrison,
Yes,
you know, and
yes,
it's like
yes.
it opens up a whole new world in your head. And she was the first one who was like incredibly supportive. She didn't care if I was writing romance. She didn't care. She didn't care. She was just like, that's the girl that I gave books to when she
Yes.
was 8 years old, 9 years. Oh gosh, I'm gonna get emotional, you
I
know.
love that. Well, thank you so much, Kennedy.
Thank you.
I know. I bet she's so proud of
She
you.
is. She's gonna come on tour this week, and it's so funny because like maybe like the This Could Be Us tour, she was in the audience, and when they had Q&A, she stood up and she goes, I want to know, because my dad used to quiz me from the dictionary. When your father used to quiz you from the dictionary, did you have any idea? And like,
And everybody's like,
how
God,
does
she did some
how
great
does she
research.
know? And I was like, that's my Aunt Joyce. And so now everybody's like, is Aunt Joyce going to be here?
And
You
she's
know?
coming?
She's coming to the Greensboro stop.
Oh,
Yes.
I love it. Well, it's amazing. Your career is
Yeah.
incredible.
Thank you so
You're
much.
the best. Thank you, Kennedy.
Thank you.
Kennedy's latest book, Score, is out now. Thanks so much for joining me on Open Book with Jenna. If you enjoyed our conversation, be sure to like, subscribe, and share this episode. And drop us a comment. We'd love to hear your thoughts. I'll see you next time.
Hey, thanks for watching. And don't forget, you can catch the Today Show every morning on NBC or take Today when you're on the go. Just follow the Today podcast on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you listen.